sound of music.
And so will 60 Minutes be, when Julie Andrews, back on Broadway to star in Victor Victoria, graces our stage.
I have the feeling you're going to hold me at arm's length.
I know what it is. I think that I have an image, and always have had, of being very English and very prim.
And very private.
Yeah, and maybe if we can just give ourselves about half an hour, things will really warm up.
American...
Julie Andrews back on Broadway, and tonight on 60 Minutes. The first is not surprising. It's been much too long. The second, though, is surprising because she very seldom raises the curtain on her private life. She avoids, whenever possible, talking publicly about her husband, her children, and the men she met along the way. Tonight, she does. And she is more candid than we thought she was going to be when we first sat down with her.
Why am I apprehensive about this?
About chatting?
I have the feeling you're going to hold me at arm's length.
I know what it is. I think that I have an image, and always have had, of being very English and very prim.
And very private.
Yeah, and maybe if we can just give ourselves about half an hour, things will really warm up.
Let me get a few frames like this, Julie.
She's hoping New Yorkers will warm up to her yet again. For the one-time reigning queen of Broadway is coming back after 30 years away.
Julie, keep your umbrella up high.
And coming back means dealing with the New York publicity machine. For this month, Julie Andrews opens on Broadway in a role that is a million miles away from the Oscar-winning role that we all remember her for.
Goodbye, Mary Poppins. Don't stay away too long.
It is this school-marmish image that she's worked so hard trying to shed, even going so far as to shed this in her 1981 film, S.O.B.
Why do you fight the business of Mary Poppins?
Certainly, I would not like to be considered the most prim and proper lady in the world.
But people expected you to be that, and that's when...
No, it's to do with success, I think.
Yes.
The success of Mary Poppins and the success of Sound of Music, in a way, brackets you.
The hills are alive with the sound of music.
After the Sound of Music, the public wouldn't let her come down off that mountain. It wasn't until she starred in the hit film Victor Victoria, playing a woman, playing a man, playing a woman,
It's a guy.
that the public began to pay attention again.
Was it hard to take when people didn't pay as much attention?
Inasmuch as that it didn't allow producers or directors to think of me for a role that I might have loved to try. Yeah, that was irritating.
But you once said that you were almost happy when the bubble burst.
Because when you're that high, it's a very wobbly situation. Who can top something as that's already hugely successful? You need to be able to climb again.
I go to the hills when my heart is lonely.
Somehow, it's hard to believe that Julie Andrews comes from the lower rungs of the middle class. Born Julia Elizabeth Wells in a suburb of London, her ongoing battle with insecurity started in her childhood.
Who's she?
That's funny.
Let me show it to the camera a second.
Okay.
How old, do you know?
I was about 11.
She's a glorious-looking kid, isn't she? I mean,
Well,
really.
now I think she is. I didn't think so at the time. If you look closely, I have buck teeth and a boss eye, and...
You've got a what?
My eye went right into the corner, and I had
Which
to have...
one?
This one, I think. And,
Oh, I see. No. Come on.
Anyway, but all of those things got eventually sorted out.
It has taken half a lifetime of psychotherapy to sort out the rest of her troubled childhood. Her parents divorced when she was just a young child. She was separated from her father, who was the rock in her life, and she was left with her mother and stepfather, who was a loud and somewhat abusive alcoholic. He's the one who discovered that Julie had a talent, a freak voice with a 4-octave range. By the time she was 11, she was the star in her parents' vaudeville act. And only a year later, she was the family's main breadwinner.
Unhappily, your stepdad is an alcoholic, and your mother is out of it, or what?
She eventually probably was a codependent alcoholic also.
And so you, at the age of 15, 16, 17, so forth, you were, in effect, the housewife?
Yeah,
the mother?
And the caretaker, right.
What
Visual.
about your education during all this
I had
time?
none. It's been the one sadness of my life. I envy my children if they go to college. I'd love to have had that kind of
How far did you go?
Oh, by your standards today, I probably didn't even finish high school.
Her university was Broadway. 5 consecutive years, first in The Boyfriend at age 19, then as Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady, one of the greatest Broadway hits ever. And finally in Camelot opposite Richard Burton, who once said every actor falls a little in love with Julie.
A more congenial spot for happily ever aftering than here in Camelot.
Had Mr. Burton, during the time that you were playing in Camelot with him, had he, you know what I'm...
Had he made a pass?
Right.
Oh, I probably could have made a fool out of myself, no doubt about it.
Really?
But happily I didn't.
Was he occasionally in his cups on stage?
Yeah, once or twice quite seriously, but the amazing thing is that he was so facile that it never seemed to faze him, and certainly the audience never suspected it. Amazing.
You mean he was seriously drunk on stage and the audience didn't?
Yep, somehow he became the world's most world-weary King Arthur, and he could barely lift the sword, but somehow it became this wondrous performance.
Through this together, Excalibur Day, you and I.
But it wasn't King Arthur who left the most lasting impression on Julie. It was screen star James Garner.
James Garner was very dishy, and we've worked twice together, and we adore each other. And I thought when we did our love scenes in Americanization of Emily, I thought, I can handle this.
Easy, Tiger. That's a tailored shirt.
Oh, shut up and let me kiss you. And we did close-up after close-up after close-up, and we were rolling around and making love to each other and God knows what. And I thought, no big deal. And finally they said, okay, that's a wrap, and I got up off the bed and fell to my knees. My knees just buckled.
Because you were having a good time.
Having a wonderful time, yes.
And he should be one of those.
For 25 years, it's been this man who has shared her bed. Film director Blake Edwards, famous for his Pink Panther film. He's also directed almost every film Julie's made since they married. And now he's directing her again.
And then as they're going out, they're going past him, and she says, wait, and he stops.
After 5 frustrating years of planning and trying to raise money, their 1982 hit movie, Victor Victoria, is finally on its way to Broadway as a musical. And it's this 73-year-old director's Broadway debut.
You're the executive producer, director,
Writer.
writer.
Yeah, if I'm going to go down, I'm really going to go down.
And that poor girl you're married to, for her, you'll take her down with you.
Oh, it's true. I had to beat her over the head to get her to do this.
Why is she doing it? For you, or?
I know there was great hesitation on her part because she's never forgotten those 5 consecutive years on Broadway, you know, that became a virtual living nightmare. She still has dreams about not remembering her lyrics or forgetting her lines.
That's why we're you and me.
Jesus, I forgot every single thing I learned this morning.
Then why did you finally succumb?
I felt that I didn't particularly want to be put out to pasture, that I really still had something to offer. That is funny. That's what, no, it's what Laurel and Hardy used to do.
And she's better than ever.
Yeah,
she really is. Remember what our old saying is? Don't
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke.
That's why we're you
and me.
She's so ready. She looks so great, and she's singing so good.
That's why he has so little left.
I'll get you for that.
And I watch her up there, and no matter how tough it is, somewhere she is enjoying being able to express herself.
You're leading again.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's what she should be doing.
Theirs was a relationship that could have been doomed, thanks to a comment Blake made long before he even met her. Conversation at a dinner party had turned to why Julie Andrews had won an Academy Award.
And everybody was being very intellectual about her. And for some reason, at that perfect moment, you know, when there's just that silence, and you know you've got a good one-liner, and you drop it in. And I did.
He said, I know why she won the Academy Award. And everybody said, oh, why? And he very quietly said, well, she has lilacs for pubic hair. And now dissolve.